Hello again. I trust you are well. I am Peter Kirby, a staff writer at Activist Post, and the author of the book Chemtrails Exposed, a New Manhattan Project. I would like to discuss with you today my latest article titled Chemtrails Exposed, the Deep State and the New Manhattan Project. Chemtrails Exposed, the Deep State and the New Manhattan Project is currently Activist Post's most viewed article of the week and is enjoying quite a bit of republishing and associated web traffic. This is happening because Chemtrails Exposed, the Deep State and the New Manhattan Project is the result of 9 years of relentless research and gives us the best idea yet as to exactly who has been spraying us and our biosphere with megatons of toxic waste. In this short video, we will take a look at some of the major findings. For an in-depth examination of this newly presented evidence, the author encourages the viewer to read the article itself. But for now, let us begin. Origins of the New Manhattan Project are found in the Central Intelligence Agency and their former Nazi scientists spirited into the United States shortly after World War II. Near the conclusion of the war, Allen Dulles and a handful of other high-ranking U.S. intelligence officers made a deal with a small contingent of high-ranking Nazis to make this happen. The meeting was the beginning of what is known as Operation Paperclip. Allen Dulles went on to become the longest-serving director of the CIA and its putative founder. From the author's previous writings, we already knew about some of these Operation Paperclip Nazis doing work in the atmospheric sciences, such as Wernher von Braun. Chemtrails Exposed, the Deep State and the New Manhattan Project reveals new names doing work in the area of the New Manhattan Project, such as Ernst Serlinsky, Hans Joachim Nacke, Albert Pfeiffer, and Hans Dolzalek. Among lots of other new information, Chemtrails Exposed, the Deep State and the New Manhattan Project traces the history of the troubled Wisners and their connections to all of this. Frank Wisner Sr. handled the CIA investigations of all Operation Paperclip Germans and helped obtain visas for paperclip scientists. Wisner was also instrumental in the founding and later purchase of Civil Air Transport. Civil Air Transport is one of the logical predecessors of today's dedicated chemtrail fleet. Frank Wisner Sr.'s son, Frank Wisner Jr., has served in many United States ambassadorial positions as well as other high-level defense-related positions. Most curiously, though, Jr. was serving as the acting Secretary of State in 1996 when the domestic large-scale spraying operations began. A logical place for the New Manhattan Project to have evolved over the years inside of the CIA is their Directorate of Science and Technology. The Directorate ran over-the-horizon radar facilities in Pakistan and later in Taiwan under the project names Earthling and Checkrote, respectively. Over-the-horizon radar or OTH radar, is a precursor to the ionospheric heaters of today, which modify the weather as part of the New Manhattan Project. The Directorate has also been a leader in cutting-edge satellite technologies, which play an important role in today's New Manhattan Project. Another deep state player involved here is the Council on Foreign Relations, or CFR. The CFR has a gaggle of members publishing lots of articles about the need to spray the earth and all of its inhabitants with toxic chemicals from aircraft. It all makes sense when one sees that the CFR shares an intertwined history with the CIA. That history is outlined in The Deep State and the New Manhattan Project. Apparently leading this public relations effort at the CFR is one M. Granger Morgan. His bio reads like a who's who of the New Manhattan Project. Fellow CFR member Catherine Reich has a similar resume. She's also been going on endlessly about the need to spray megatons of toxic chemicals from aircraft. Oh, and here's a CFR member who looks for all the world to be a psychopath, J. Apt. His psychotic thesis is that the Earth and all of its biota should be sprayed with megatons of toxic chemicals, from aircraft no less. Another CFR zombie effectively advocating for mass murder is one Frank E. Loy. He, of course, sits on the boards of directors of many organizations that are supposedly going to save us all from the CIA's dreaded global warming. CFR member David Victor is so cool. He knows that, global warming is, really dangerous and stuff, so he wants to help us all out by spraying the Earth and all of its inhabitants with megatons of toxic substances. Our noble anti-geoengineering community's attention was grabbed in 2016 when the then director of the CIA, John Brennan, spoke at the CFR's headquarters, known as Pratt House in Manhattan, and famously advocated for SRM geoengineering, also known as chemtrails. This author's investigation has yielded an interesting potential indirect connection to our intrepid former CIA chief Brennan. Our John O. Brennan may be related to a man named James J. Brennan, who, among numerous other interesting things, was a 8.5% owner in the aforementioned Civil Air Transport. Is Dresser Industries providing the coal fly ash needed for today's New Manhattan Project? They are the logical choice, because they are most probably removing megatons of fresh coal fly ash from the giant electrostatic precipitators they build and install all over the world. Dresser has been the leader in the applicable scientific field for a very long time. To top it all off, they are a Bush family business with plenty of Nazi connections. Don't worry, the Deep State and the New Manhattan Project has the goods on the Rockefellers too. In 1968, a Rockefeller family and associates representative by the name of Dr. T. F. Walkowicz became a trustee of the MITRE Corporation. This is significant because the MITRE Corporation is most probably the overall manager of all of the scientific aspects of today's New Manhattan Project. Not only that, but Dr. Walkowicz was also a consultant to a 1946 Army Air Force report titled War and Weather. War and Weather suggests that atomic energy might be used to modify the weather. The generic way in which the authors of War and Weather use the term atomic energy suggests a broad application which could include the electromagnetic energy which is used today to modify the weather as part of the New Manhattan Project. The authors of the report write that, quote, "The peacetime applications of such concepts may be more significant than their military uses." There is much, much more in the full article, Chemtrails Exposed, the Deep State, and the New Manhattan Project, now up and running on activistpost.com. For the best overview of all the currently known evidence, please buy my book, Chemtrails Exposed, a New Manhattan Project. It's available exclusively on Amazon.com. Also, please subscribe to my email list at my website, peteracirby.com. Thank you.